Did you guys watch the bloopers at the end, by the way, at the end of the credits?
Once the credits stopped rolling, he's like, all right, finally, we're done. Can I get my rickshaw now?
You see the kid like step on the barbed wire and blood's all pouring out on the camera lens and she's yelling about missing a take and stuff. It's super, super funny.
Welcome to Fairstairs, Desi Films Decoded, the podcast where four friends from different backgrounds unlock the world of Desi cinema. I'm Winnie, the Desi who's never been to India.
Hey, I'm Kili. I'm from India. I love films and I would like to talk about films.
Hi, I'm Nikki. I'm from Thailand and I love to talk about films too.
Hey, I'm Adam. I'm from America. I like to talk about films as well.
Wow. We have such common things.
We should do a podcast about this. I think it's a good idea.
Anyway, so today I just have to tell you guys something. My depression came back
From this movie?
from this movie.
For real?
This is a very heavy film.
It's a heavy film. I think so. Me, Keely, and Winnie didn't realize what kind of movie we were going into, and this movie is pretty heavy. It deals with the poverty, impoverished children in Bombay, and of course, as you can see, that movie is Salaam Bombay by Mira Nair.
Yeah, so we chose this because she is the mom of Zohan Mamdani, who just got the Democratic nomination for the mayor of New York. He was a Democratic socialist. He's 33. He's pretty young. And it's just not talked about often. And I really wasn't aware either that his mom was a director. And we kind of looked into it and saw that, she's actually a pretty big director that's done American films and Indian films. So we thought we'd be like kind of topical if we watched the first one she's ever done. None of us had seen it. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I just watched it not knowing what to expect either. Well, what are your guys's? So yeah, tell me. I'm curious. You guys saw it together.
It was so heavy. And it felt a bit drawn out. I mean, it was very raw, great acting, great, like the storyline and everything. It feels very real. But yeah, you have to really digest it. And there's not many happy points, like just when you think that their situation cannot get much worse, it somehow does. And it's a look into the reality of like an experience that maybe has not been portrayed so much in Indian cinema. Maybe that's why it was so popular at the time. But
it was a big hit. She was like, it was her first film. But it made like $7 million, which is pretty good for like the tiny budget. They, I think their budget was like less than 100,000. She studied at Harvard. She like went to university in India and then studied in Harvard, then went back to film this. But it was one of two Indian films to get Oscar nominations. Like it was like a big. It got like swept the awards at Cannes and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this until after watching it too. But it was a really big international hit and tuned in a lot of people to what was going on in Mumbai too at the time.
We also found out that the movie is one of New York Times pick for best movies of the
the top 1,000 best movies of all time.
Jeez.
All time.
It was just in there.
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it belongs?
Yeah, I think, even though we think the movie is really dark and maybe too real, I think it does tell a great story. It does open up my view on how kids try to survive in a land that is just not kind to them. Basically.
I think like how when you tackle a subject like that, it's a very delicate matter, and then how at the point of how you tackle this subject, how you produce such a film, right? So while being empathetic, this film still for me like kind of borders in the territory of urban middle class background or a very highly educated person from an elite section of the society coming and with a very empathetic point of view looking at these kids. It's but it still does the job in a very well mannered way. I think they set up the whole. I mean, when we talk about the production process, we'll go into that, and then like they did the whole workshop with the kids, teaching them how to like do the acting. She mentioned a lot of times it's the most important thing for them to teach those kids was like how to concentrate on things,
Mm-hmm.
because being on street, while growing up on street, they cannot focus on one thing. So to do this kind, so they just acted out their real reality of their surroundings, right? So these films, while looking at it from a outsider point of view, it's very um full of good intention, empathetic. But there goes the thing, like it doesn't look very empowering, but it is very documenting this situation. I don't think there were films that documented the reality of street kids that well before this film, like in India. She said that she was inspired by this Brazilian film called Pisot, but where the main character gets killed later on in real life, like the main actor. So she was very touched by that. So they started the foundation as well. Salam Balak, Balak means boys. So foundation, which grew a lot. So yeah, I think this is how, if you want to tackle this subject, this is the most ethical way, I think. Yes, like you can go about it at the okay, it's a different point of view, a point of discussion whether you should make a film like that or not, but
Well, I
that's a
mean,
different topic.
people talk about like, like if something's poverty porn or not,
Yeah.
Exactly.
and I think that's always like kind of dangerous. But you also want to give voices to those people too,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? Like I don't want to see just songs about rich people either, but it's a super fine line. You don't want to be exploitative. You don't want to just do poverty porn, and you also don't want to make it oriental, right? Like you don't want to make them seem like you're like looking at this weird alien subculture or anything like
Yeah.
that. And I think it's hard to describe, the differences, but it's just, yeah, purely in the approach and the intention of the filmmaking. And I think, in an interview that Kelly turned us on to, the director said that she was kind of inspired by the film when she was around those kids and saw that they were fighting to be children at all costs. So like as much as the world was preventing them, they were gonna like fight for their right to be children, and so I think she really respects the subjects. I think she like admires it, and I think you see that through the filmmaking too. Like at no point is she looking down on them. It's not judgmental. It's very humanistic, very empathetic, like you said, and it's just looking at kids and the adults just like living in the world around them that they're kind of just forced to interact with. You just have a very three-dimensional view of these people, and I think that's why it's not just like despair poverty porn. And like it's sad, but there's a lot of good moments too. The kids are happy, and like they find pockets of moments where they can like laugh and stuff.
I think ethics is a very important conversation in a movie like this, and she had workshops and all for the kids, which we can talk about later. But I do question the extent of ethics that were involved in when it comes to approaching the children. A lot of them are street children; they don't have any parental guardianship or anything like that, and to kind of bring them into a workshop to get their stories, film them. The question then comes to, did they benefit from this at all? Like what stories were they fed? Where was any of the proceeds, like the funds that the movie raised, was any of this eventually passed down to the children? They started a foundation 10 years later, the Salam Balak Trust Foundation, but that
No,
was
it was
At the same time.
at the same
no,
time. Yeah, yeah.
I think it was 1998, and then another NGO started from this movie. But the main actor, Shafiq Syed, like he ends up kind of just going back to live in the slums. Now I think he has a rickshaw company. So we also don't really know under what conditions these children were brought in, how their stories were told, if they received any care. A lot of what they were acting out was also quite traumatic. They were placed in right, and it's a traumatic plot line. There's a scene where like the guy kind of like just raises the girl up in the air, hanging over the balcony, and shakes her. So then there's also a question of, was there any like aftercare that was also provided for them beyond just treating them like subjects and making the storyline? I hope that there was.
There was. I
But
mean, they had therapists. You had a trust fund for the main actors. So like they were paid, and then they had a trust fund set up that
mhm.
like paid them out over time, and then used proceeds from the movie for all other kids in that situation. One of the kids, she said, like ended up living in California.
Yeah,
And
he got adopted by one of the crew
yeah,
members.
so like
Yeah.
he had a totally completely different life. But yeah, the main guy lives in Bangalore and has a auto rickshaw. But that's like life too. Like what I mean, it's not every movie's responsibility to make sure every person gets rich. Like, how much can you possibly, do? I don't know.
The
Yeah.
trust was built in the same time. I just checked. It's in 1988 on 1988, and yeah. So she had addressed later on an interview about like what happened to Shafir Saik. So actually, like he's pretty old. He was like older. He was like 15-year-old at the point of filming, but you can see like how he looks so small because of the malnutrition being a street kid. So he comes from a family where like both parents are like were alcoholic, and he didn't have a nice childhood, so he fled Bangalore to Bombay. He was living in the street of Bombay, and after this film, like he did certain roles in started to do in TV drama and stuff, but no one could make him act because they were going in a very point of view of like, okay, performing acting, right? While this film was like workshopped, and he just did what his life was. And
Yeah, so the workshop, she said she was very specific. She didn't teach him how to act. There was 6-week workshops, but the main thing was not teaching them how to act. It was teaching them how to not act, like how to be natural on the camera. And so for 6 weeks, they're just doing improv games and stuff to be natural on camera. And that looks great for this film, but that doesn't translate into being in other films because they don't know how to
yeah,
act. They just know how to be natural.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have much evidence or anything of how those events took place at the time, how the workshops were, if any care was provided. But I think if a movie like that was produced today, it would definitely come a lot more under scrutiny for sensationalizing people's trauma, like these street kids' trauma. And I think there'd be a lot more conversation around how to support them, whether it's ethical, like whether it's trauma informed, the way that they're approaching these children.
yeah,
That conversations that I don't think were probably so mainstream yet back then, and yeah.
yeah.
When
Reliving trauma is a huge
right.
deal.
When I listened to her interview, I guess I just felt like I was not convinced that like they were placed at the center of it. I just felt like it was her storyline, her vision, and also her trying to make this movie kind of appeal to the West. And I do see elements of sensationalizing their trauma. I think it's reality for sure. And like, there's an element where she took their stories, their real lived experiences, and put it in the plot. So we can't say that it's sensationalizing it, but I do feel like there's a lot of just emphasis on their sadness and their pain. And I guess these days we're more used to seeing movies made in a more empowering light. Like we watched the other one, All the Lights That Shine,
All we imagine as
All
lights.
We Imagine as Lights, where it's also a similar plot where it takes place like in the slums of Bombay, but we see that painted as more of an empowering narrative where they're in control of their lives, they can control their outcomes. So because this is around children, it's a lot more of a stark reality.
They can't control. That's the whole, unfortunate point is like they're in this situation where they're just reacting to uh the hand being dealt with them. You know what I mean? It is,
Mm,
and it is frustrating. Like you do get that watching the film. They're children. They can't do
yeah.
anything, you know? And I would kind of feel robbed if it was just a happy ending. Like if it was just like an Oliver Twist thing, because there are a lot of similarities to like Oliver Twist. I got the very like Dickensian, kids kind of wandering the streets and stuff, and how sometimes like the institutions are worse than the street. Um, but Oliver Twist has a cop out ending where like, oh, you had like a rich family, you have a good life, okay, bye. And that just isn't realistic. But when the director said it's these kids fighting to be children at all costs, like again, I think she's not like taking glee in watching them suffer. It's about finding happiness despite the suffering you're around.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the plot.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just put in a warning, a little warning, because it deals with children, right? Just for our listeners, this movie is a heavy one. It deals with like prostitution, child beating, drug use,
The whole
just the
shebang.
whole shebang. I guess like the themes presented, but it's a grim reality of things. Our main character is basically like this 11-year-old boy. His name is Krishna.
Krishna.
Yay.
Nailed
Yeah.
it.
His name is Krishna, and he's like there was one point in the movie where he explains that he was being bullied by his older brother, and as retaliation he just decided to uh, uh burn his bike, and then as punishment his mother took him to a traveling circus where she told him that he should make enough money to pay back for the damages done, and then she she just abandoned him there.
How
And then
much?
I think it was 500 rupees.
Yeah,
And
I want to take note of this because she mentions this in the interview, but that's was a brilliant plot structure of like we know pretty soon like how much he needs, and we see him throughout this time either like adding or deducting from that total he needs, which is 500 rupees. Which is like a really, really brilliant way to plot this kind of loose film with just every interaction you see, like every time he drops the cup when he's selling tea, it hurts you because like you know he just got like shorter away from his goal. I did the math really quick too. If you adjust for inflation, 500 rupees now is like 6,500 rupees. It's about 80 US dollars.
okay,
So
not a lot.
when I first did the math, I did like 500 rupees. It was like $5. I wanted to like break the TV and just like hand $5 to this kid. I was like, that's crazy. But it's like $80, which is very hard for a kid to make,
And
obviously.
and with this kid, he's like, I guess I'll say it right now. This kid cannot catch a break throughout the movie. Like, there's just shit just keeps happening to him. This poor little guy. And the first thing that happens is that like his circus boss like told him to like do some errand or something, and then the guy he went away, and then the moment he came back, the entire circus was just like gone. It was like a whole wasteland, and then he has no choice but to travel to the nearest city, which is Bombay. He gets his possessions stolen from some of the street kids, and then he tries to get like a job through delivering chai.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like and this guy that employs him, he keeps like telling him that you'll make enough money if you keep it up, but like the reality of the situation is that it's gonna take an eternity, maybe not even an eternity, like forever of his life, if he had to like go through with delivering chai.
I think he was making 2 rupees a day, he said. So the
Wow.
guy's keeping a ledger and he makes 2 rupees a day doing this. Yeah.
And then so you have like these street kids, and they're like basically you could call them his friends or just like compatriots. And we also have this like drug dealer, like his name goes by Chillum.
Yeah.
So it's funny because Keely the other day, Keely was just talking to me about Chillum. The I don't know what's called. Like you call it a drug? It's not
Smoking pipe.
Chillum is
just like a
for
pipe
pot. Yeah.
pot,
Yeah.
right?
Is it like a slang term in India?
No. It's a
Okay.
legitimate term. Chillum is like for smoking weed in that clay, earthen, like terracotta or stone made
Yeah.
pot. Yeah.
Yeah, you see, at one point they were using it, and this guy is like he's addicted to this thing called brown sugar.
Yeah.
Which, according to Keely, I think you said it was like remnants of like heroin.
Yeah.
Or
Heroin production.
Yeah, it looks like heroin. Yeah.
yeah, and this guy he's like basically like a drug dealer in Bombay, and basically he works for this, like I want to call him like the big boss drug dealer slash pimp. His name is like Baba.
Baba. The director calls him Mr. Fix It, or like the Fix It guy. That like every little kind of street corner has a Fix It guy where like, yeah, he like quote unquote tames, the prostitutes and like sells drugs and just kind of runs the street.
And Baba here, he's like he runs like this broth. No, not right. He does.
It's a brothel. Yeah.
He doesn't.
He doesn't
run.
run
Doesn't
it,
run
but
it.
he just like he's involved with it and kind
Yeah.
of like, yeah, he's the Fix It guy. Sometimes they need his help and he like gets money from it.
So like there's this entire plot of a brothel, and there's this like matriarch who's like keeping these young women in line who have no homes or whatever. And at some point in the movie, they manage to bring in this beautiful teenage girl that some people she's like nicknamed Sweet 16, just because she's 16 years old, and she's really pretty, and she's a virgin, which makes it more desirable, I guess.
And she's being sold by her uncle
Being sold by her
to the
uncle.
brothel.
So that's her. This woman is like the gains the attention of our little guy, Krishna.
Krishna, yes. And let's just mention the girl doesn't speak
Hindi.
Hindi.
Yeah.
Do you know what she speaks?
No, she never
She
spoke.
never talks,
She
right?
never talked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know. She doesn't understand what people are saying, and
Yeah.
she doesn't speak. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Baba, he not only is he like the local boss and everything, he also has a wife. I think her name is like Rekha or something.
Rekha. Yeah.
Rekha. Yeah, she's also a prostitute. And she is kind of like this woman that wants to get away from the situation that they're in. To make matters even more depressing, I would say, is that both Baba and Rekha have a daughter named
Manju.
Manju. She's like this little girl, and like this little girl also really gets like treated pretty badly. Like they make her sleep outside. Her father doesn't give her any attention. It's kind of like abusive, even though she's been conditioned to like love him unconditionally.
Well,
Uh,
he's just like the only stable guy in the area.
yeah,
I think she's an interesting character because it goes to show that even though she has parents, her situation is also quite grim, and they show in parallel to the other street kids that don't have parents.
that's true. And then Manju here is she's also, she goes along with the kids and they try to, make ends meet. So yeah, so it begins with like they live in this like railway station. Which one was it, Keely? It was like a
I don't think they shown the railway station name.
oh, not that
Yeah,
much.
I might have missed it, but it was not that important because definitely they didn't show it again and again. Maybe in passing, but like yeah, it's a brothel area next to a railway station kind of situation, which is very common in Mumbai. Like train is one of the core public transport system there. Yeah. Anyway,
So
yeah.
one thing that I noticed is that Krishna gets like a nickname of some sort. It's like called Chai Pao.
Chaipu,
Chai
yeah,
Poo, Chai
yeah, Chaipu. I don't know what it means. It might
was
mean in something in slang in Marathi or in Bombay street language. I couldn't understand it. Might be has to do with that he sells chai, so it can be Chaipu is like something a boy who sells tea. It can be, yeah,
so yeah, like so that being said, like Chaipu has like this like routine, right? He gets like tea from the vendor and then delivers it across the street. Meanwhile, all the while getting beaten up by the other kids. And like you also have Chillum, this drug dealer who kind of like I don't know, I wouldn't use the word trick, but like he kind of like tells the boy to like leave some of the money in this like uh hidden space of a
The
wall,
brick
the
wall.
brick wall. And
There's like there's a loose brick, and he's like, "Look, if you pull the brick out, you can hide money behind it." Which is like, "Hey, I'm gonna steal this from you later."
yeah.
Obviously, you know that's a bad idea.
But like he frames it in a way where you can like put money away from the other kids where they won't touch it. But like you can tell like this kid is like getting taken advantage of, and he's like has no clue whatsoever.
Imagine how dumb you were at like 11, and then like you're on the street and like everyone's out to get you. Like I would be taking advantage of every second of the day.
yeah,
And so like Chillum like takes Chaipu to like across the city where they like sell some drugs to foreigners. And I guess in a way we get like this scene where they're like walking towards like a graveyard, and then they like we're introduced to Chillum's like vices where he's like doing brown sugar and kind of becomes like I think that scene embodies like this like kind of he has like this mentorship to Chaipu, and like he tells them like how like nobody's friends. Like we all gotta
yeah,
look out after each other. After your own, look out on your own. Like
He's like the Artful Dodger. You've all seen Oliver Twist, yeah?
yeah,
He's like that, but he's a heroin addict. Artful Dodger
yeah,
was not, and Artful Dodger had kind of good intentions. This guy does not. He's a heroin addict. You can't trust what he
yeah,
says.
and throughout the time, like when like Chaipu seems to like him because like every time he's in need of like there are moments in later on in the movie where Chillum is like going through withdrawals because he eventually gets fired from Baba, and like he would like this kid would do anything for Chillum. Like he would try to tell them that like he's sick again and he's in need of medicine.
yeah. He went to the like other part of this town to a different dealer to score for him, like be for so that like he can like fight off the because I don't think like he's also understanding what withdrawal is. Like he just know that he needs his fix, and then he's like he even got involved in a like a small like burglary.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you'll come to that later. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll get
yeah,
there
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
a bit.
So he does a lot of things for just helping him.
Right. Chillum does mention during that mentorship scene that he mentions like the chiller room,
Yeah, the chiller room.
which is like which we later find out is like a juvie detention center in the movie, and that'll come into play like a little later. But yeah, there are times where like Chaipu goes to visit Manju
Yeah,
and they play together, like they're playmates, and then they're like you get like this weird little jealousy bit where like yeah he often goes to play with Manju, but then like he's also this little boy has like this uh crush on the Sweet 16,
yeah,
like what Adam's about to say. He does steal a bird for her, and then Manju gets like
very
jealous. But
jealous.
I wouldn't say like love jealous. It's more like she's so lonely in a
She
way.
just wants
Also,
attention. No one gives her
yeah,
attention.
Yeah.
Like, and they all just want her to go away because she's in like a brothel and like it sucks. So she just literally wants like a friend to play with.
and yeah, she also likes him. Like, I think it's like those childhood crush.
Well, she just needs a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, she looks at him giving all the attention to the new sweet 16 girl. And she also complains about it to her mother. Like, like even Chaipu doesn't play with me anymore. He's like he always wants to talk to that girl and like giving gift to her that girl and then yeah, then there's a very sweet scene with the mother where in there is a power cut and the mother and daughter plays with the hand puppet shadow
Oh yeah, that was
in
really
front of
sweet.
the candle, and then the light comes back, and also with along with the light, customer comes back. That was like, yeah,
What I like is that, she does show them as children. Sometimes they're annoying, sometimes they're mean to
yeah.
each other. Sometimes, they make bad decisions, sometimes they're super fun and, like she does show them like how children act. And I do really appreciate that.
And adding to what Adam says, like he decides to burn Sweet 16's room to like escape with her. I don't know where he was going. What do you think he was gonna go?
Just run away.
They run away. For them, just run away because they live in streets. Like where they're gonna go? Like they don't have idea of home. Like
Yeah,
Right.
Chaipu seems to have a tendency for setting things on fire because
yeah,
he
he's
does
just
that
like
in the
or
brothel.
Yeah.
And the reason his mom
Yeah.
had kicked him out was also because he set fire to his brother's rickshaw or
no,
Yeah.
something.
brother's client's
Like,
bike. He was a bike
Yeah,
mechanic. He
brother's
brought
client's
a
bike.
bike from his
So
client,
a
and
little
he
arsonist here.
The kid loves burning things he doesn't like.
but I
Yeah,
like
And anywhere's better than where they are, so
yeah.
whatever.
but I like that little connection, right? We get to see that it's in line with what he's capable of, what he
Mm.
does, right? Because you only ever get to know about Chaipu's like background through dialogue, and to have us witness him burning something else is like very in line with the character, right? I
These
think.
kids have agency, like they're in these situations that are really harsh and they have to figure out what to do day by day, but they have agency. Like he's not helpless. Like he does try to fight back when he can. He has, a strong character inside of him that doesn't die. And that's like I think the movie, shows you with each kind of kid. They all have like a flame inside them still.
I like that scene where before he tries to escape, like make the help the girl escape. So he gives this the jealousy thing, the love triangle I was calling it. So he give Manju a pack of Parle, like a pack of biscuits to hand it over to the Sweet 16 girl, and she just goes there and just devours the whole pack of biscuits while crying, and there was like a long ass shot of it, and then they're just intercutting with the kid playing with another kid on the street and waiting for her, and she just like stands in the corner, devours the whole pack of biscuits, and comes back like, oh no, I have handed it over. I mean, that was like such a that was also very assertive, like from Manju, where it's like she's jealous, she's angry that her friend is now like after another girl. So that scene was like really impressionable. I liked Manju, and like, yeah, Manju becomes very close to the audience heart, I guess, in that
Yeah. She has
scene.
agency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And yeah, but as with many things that happen in the movie, by setting her Sweet 16's room on fire, his actions have a lot of consequences. So what happens is that they didn't escape, they get caught by this bouncer guy, and he gets a beating.
Yeah.
Chaipu gets a beating, and Sweet 16 gets a visit from Baba, who the matriarch of the brothel orders him to tame, and I quote, tame her. And I'm gonna say that is like just gives me the creeps, man. Like that whole taming thing, because like you have that one scene where like Baba kind of like breaks the rules a little bit by like taking out Sweet 16 to like a photo shoot.
Mm.
Yeah.
It was like a coupley photo shoot, not yeah,
Like he
and
just goes into full lover boy mode.
full over boy mode, and you can tell that she's like not in on it. Like she tries to avoid his like aggressive advances. This is really like I feel like that moments like that, it really gets under your skin, at least for me.
But she falls for
She
him.
falls for him, and that's how she gets tamed, right? And it's
He
like the
gets
oldest
tamed.
play.
So because he gives her a little bit of attention, which is what all these people are deprived of. He like goes in for like a little kiss. She has a photo of them, kind of locking eyes that she keeps under her pillow now, and she is like totally in love with this guy. She doesn't, understand what he's saying, but he's like promising her that they'll get out eventually, and that's not going to happen.
Which gives
It's
you
all
insight
sad.
into like his relationship with Rekha as well, and how it probably started. This is probably kind of what he does, and then you see that play out later because
Yeah.
Rekha does have a scene where she gets angry and she tells him to go to Sweet 16. So obviously, like she's old enough now where she's caught on to his tactics, and she knows that there's no happily ever after. And so you see like kind of like Rekha's character next to Sweet 16's character is also quite an interesting parallel.
He's
Yeah.
at like different stages,
Exactly.
All
but
the
it's
same
the same
person.
process.
Exactly.
Which happens with Chillum also later on.
Yeah. Before we go back into all that, I'm gonna go back to Chillum a little bit. So Chillum gets, as I mentioned before, Chillum gets fired from Baba, and there's like because of this like weird. I don't want to use the word weird, but it's like a strange scene where like there's this like foreign journalist, like a female journalist, like she's white. She goes for an interview with Baba, and like it results him in Baba in like abusing Chillum, like beating him up.
Well,
Yeah.
Chillum has like a bunch of tea, and
Yeah.
then Baba takes his belt off and then starts like whipping Chillum's feet. So Chillum has to jump, and he's like holding this hot tea. So like the tea's like burning his hands, but he's trying to like not get hit by the belt. So he's just like humiliating this person because he can be charming. We see that with Sweet 16, and he's trying to be charming with this Western journalist, but he's trying to impress in a way that like might impress you if you're on the street, but not this Western person. He doesn't understand how to
Yeah.
speak that language, and so
Mhm.
his way of trying to impress them just becomes a humiliating mark on him. She walks away, and then he realizes like that he looked like a shithead, but then it just makes him get mad at Chilla more for like making him look out to be bad in his eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's well said. And then because of the embarrassment, Baba fires Chillum and takes the drugs away from him. And throughout the remainder of the movie, Chillum goes through like ultimate withdrawals, and like Chaipu feels sorry for him, and he decides to try and help him out by doing all these like burglary. There's like one scene where like he and the Chaipu and the kids rob an old man's house,
Yeah.
like just to make ends meet. And because of all that, because they're trying to get Chillum some drugs, it cost Chaipu his job as well. Like
Yeah.
he couldn't make it back in time for his shift in delivering tea.
Yeah. So he gets fired by the tea vendor for doing all the chaos and everything. Whatever. He just needed a reason because these kids are amply like there are enough kids to hire from, and then he just fires him and then gives him whatever he had earned by that time, which was like 400 rupee, and he deducts like 50 rupee from there for all the trouble, quote unquote trouble he made for the vendor. So he just gets 350 rupees, and then he's like, okay, next morning I'm gonna go leave for my hometown, like in five instead of 500 with only 350. It's okay, fine, we understand. And then what he does, he puts the money in that safe zone, quote unquote safe box that Chilim introduced him to. And then when we saw it, I'm like, oh my god, no, bro, please not there, anywhere else. And then
He leaves the remainder of the money in the place that Chillum told him, thinking that it would be like a bank or like a safe spot. But because Chillum is all like going through withdrawal and he needs some drugs. He ends up stealing the money, and ultimately it kills him. He overdoses from the drugs that he bought with the money stole.
Yeah, it's like Sonic getting hit and all his coins coming out.
Yeah. Damn, that's pretty dark. Okay, and yeah, I don't know, what it's like, Keely, but like, can you tell me, like, is that how? So when someone dies on the street like that, do they just like carry the corpse through the street? Is that like
I've seen that. Yeah,
No,
I've seen
carrying
that.
corpse to the street happens to everyone.
Okay,
That's
right,
the way of like carrying the dead body to
right.
the end. And then given they are poor, they don't have, no one has money. Maybe like the municipality has some money for those, like, homeless people's cremation or something like that. So it's just a regular process of them carrying the, like, now they have like cars, but back then like it was
But even now, no,
just,
like last time I went to India, like I saw, processions. I was in Varanasi, so that's
yeah,
where
yeah,
they do.
yeah.
But I do kind of appreciate like um carrying dead bodies in the streets. I think you should be like reminded of death, like as a society. I do think it's good. I think it's as an
Yeah.
American, I was always hidden from death, but I like being in places where like death is more out in the open and like you see it. You're like drinking coffee and you just see like a dead body go down the street, and it's a good like
Reminder.
reminder. And we should I do think people should be reminded of that occasionally. I think you should be near death and not be afraid of it.
We don't
Is
have
that the reason
graveyard
they
though.
do it?
I don't know the
But it's a good
the
thing for
an-
society, I think.
anthropological reading in the theological reading in the process of cremation and like carrying the dead body. But I think you have to carry the dead body in certain way. So now it happens. I mean, if you have money, it happens in a, like, the cars that go in like with the dead body in, but it's still transparent. The glass is still transparent. It's not covered, so everyone can see a dead body. I think going through the going like leaving the land of life while being seen by the by
By
everyone
the
that you are
living.
leaving, you are
Mhm.
departing. I think that's a thing that that can be read into
But
that.
what's cool about this shot is that as they're carrying the body through the streets, they're filming by hidden cameras, right? And so this is just like people's normal reaction. All the crowds that we see in that shot,
Hmm.
they're not stage actors or
Oh
anything. It's
yeah.
just the public going about their day, and the kids are rushing through with this corpse along the road, and they're filming through hidden cameras, which is quite awesome.
We should say like none of this was filmed on sets.
Right,
Yeah.
Um,
absolutely.
most of like besides like the main actors, like when he said like it's just people that are there, like she's filming on location, and some of these locations are like crazy. Like
Yeah.
if they like made it a set, it would have been the most elaborate set, right? Because
Mhm.
it's so realistic. Ebert said it's like a documentary eye with a narrative heart. And so, yeah, like they use hidden cameras and they would hide the cameras in like tea carts and stuff. And so all of this amazing footage you get of like the orphanage he goes to later, and like the brothels and stuff, and the homes that people live in are actual homes, and it's gives it such a I don't know how to call it. I guess like a documentary feel and just a very realistic look at
Mhm.
everything.
So Mira Nair, like as a creative person, like when she started, she's like she went to, I think, first as a street theater actor, and then she moved to US for Harvard, and then studied, like wanted to study theater, but she is, according to her, it's like it was not enough impressionable, and like
She wants to reach a wide
yeah.
audience.
And also like she wanted to, I think she comes from that school of thought that creative work can change the world, like changing the world via the medium of art and stuff like that. So theater, he didn't find her that power in theater, so she moved to documentaries. And then she has talked about like her documentary style being like the fly on the wall, like not meddling with the street, with the characters much. It's just like observing, being as passive as be there with the camera. Like she uses the term, I mean, it's a cinema movement, verite, which is
Cinema
like,
verite.
yeah. So she used to think, so I so that like method of working works very well in the narrative like fictional setup of this film.
The way she described it was quite cool. How she did crowd control, right? She mentions that she was wearing a salwar kameez and she
Yeah.
just tied a rope around her waist, and so she would give like one person one rope at one end and then another person at the other end, and that would be kind of like the filming area. And then she would just kind of go, and she compared herself to Indira Gandhi, where she's trying to like beg people and please the people in order for them to like work with her, because they only had 2 or 3 shots for each scene, right? They had to do it in a very time controlled way. So she would really have to like get the people on her side to believe her and to kind of behave in the manner that she wanted to for that shot, which is impressive to do in a crowd like Bombay.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't think it's poverty porn either, is because they're not like making a set and throwing dirt on a kid and like making it as grim
Mm.
as possible. It's just realistic places. Like it just, that is what it looks like. And so because she takes like a more documentarian approach and it's not a set, she is just showing it for what it is, and she's not dressing it up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And also not a time only not only time control. This is like the reminiscence of like, like film making with the film roll. They were like limited with the film stock itself. Like she was mentioning it quite a bit of time that they didn't have enough film stock to have like multiple shot of same multiple take of same shots. Like only 2 or 3. That's why like she
Yeah.
had to get it done because it doesn't have much film stock left.
And that's why the kids' concentration was so vital
Yeah.
for this
For
movie.
sure. If you have like 3 shots total and you're working with kids, they've never like been in front of a camera before, it's crazy. And you just have the public around, like, and anything can happen. Like, that is so hard to do
Yeah.
with a script. Crazy.
I still want to know how they. So Winnie mentioned it earlier in this episode, where some of the scenes, some of the shots were pretty harrowing. Like for one, the one where Baba hangs Manju over the railing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like he shakes her up like that.
That
I
was really disturbing.
see. We find out. Did anyone?
That's
you
just
find
real,
out?
I think. I mean,
It just seems so. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Man. That's just so scary.
he was doing a Michael Jackson,
Yeah, the Michael. Yeah, I did think of
What?
Michael Jackson.
just shaking the baby over the balcony
Oh.
He did that.
blanket.
Oh,
Yeah,
he did that.
Michael Jackson
Yeah,
did a blanket.
I don't remember that. I was
No.
thinking of Lion King.
No, it was that's a totally different vibe right there.
Simba. Yeah, Rafiki was such a dick to that baby, just hanging it over the rock, like shaking it. It was so rude to the new king like that.
Do you want to like put the circle of life over the part where Baba puts Manju over?
Rafiki like hits prostitutes with a stick. He's
All
like
right,
the pimp of the town.
I think we should just not go any further. I'm so scared to make any jokes.
All right, so what happens next?
So okay. Chillum steals the drugs.
The money.
Chillum steals the money to get the drugs. Which
He
means he dies, and Chai goes back to zero, no money.
Do video game symbol, 0 over his head. Start from the beginning.
Start from the beginning, and then they had to do a few more odd jobs, and then like there's a significant part where the kids are all working for this rich family's Indian wedding. It's like a rich Indian wedding basically, and the kids were like serving the food, and in between this during this whole time, Chaipu was like stealing samosas, like putting them under his shirt. And we get this scene where the kids are like having their break, and Manju has her own savings, which she gives to Chaipu.
I think she gives her part of the wage to Chaipu.
To Chaipu.
Yeah.
So that was like a hint of hope, as we would say.
Yeah, these kids help each other when they can.
Mhm.
They're not
And-
evil.
But then, as with all things in this movie, that comes to a 180 where the kids are like making their way back home on a highway. I think it was like on a highway at night.
Yeah.
And the police was like coming up behind them. The other kids managed to run away, but the police caught up to both Chaipu and Manju. And what happens is that like they found the samosas that Chaipu was hiding, right? And then they decided to like send both Chaipu and Manju to separate detention centers.
Like an orphanage, I think.
Yeah,
right?
Manju
Like
goes to a kind of I think Chaipu goes to juvie as he did crime.
The
And
chiller room.
because he also finds the money on Chaipu, and the police with all his brutality thinks that like it's stolen money, so sends Chaipu to detention, like juvie, and then sends Manchu. They send Manchu to orphanage, I guess. Yeah.
Orphanage. Yeah. And it's he goes back to zero again. Like it was pretty such a downer, at that moment. But with all the things said, like Chaipu makes his time in the juvie center, and
He
then
he,
The
he
chiller
fucking
room.
makes himself like king, dude of the playground. He like punches the first guy, like the first prison rule of like not being the
Yeah.
bench and like punching the top guy. He does that. He kicks the bully in the nuts.
he meets this other kid who gives him like another like saying where like all these kids have been around for many years, like some of them,
Like
and
5 years, yeah.
the ones who like live over 5 years, they're forgotten.
Yeah.
Which is pretty depressing to think about.
Forgotten what are they in for? And
Yeah, he forgot, like the kid forgot what crime he even did, if he did one.
Some kid was in there for urinating in public.
Yeah.
As
Mhm.
minor as that.
Yeah, and like the system's not there to help them. Chaipu looks at his little name tag and it says that he has a hearing in like 6 months from now. No one's even told him this. He has no idea like what's going on.
Yeah.
And then, you are presented with like, yeah, we have these institutions there to help people, but then why are they happier on the street? And that is the thing, like as bad as the street can be, like at least these kids have themselves or some weird support network or,
Agency.
an
Yeah.
agency and a family, a bit, something, some social network. And then in these institutions, they're stripped of that and their agency. And so, it's not safe, like as dangerous as the street can be. Yeah, at least they have their dignity in that.
They tried to get Manju out of the orphanage center, right? And the orphanage tells Rekha that they're not allowing her to do that because she's a prostitute.
I also think like they didn't try. Baba was very happy that the kid is out of the way.
Right.
Yeah, and it was the mother, because she has only one person in the world who's close to her, is her kid. Yeah.
And she's
Anyway.
stamped with this stigma and is
Yeah.
now separated with her kid forever.
Yeah.
And again, the street was at least better. At least she could be with her kid.
And it kind of shows a stigma against prostitutes in India as well, because they took her child away solely on the basis that she is a prostitute.
Yeah.
They don't know the treatment or anything that she was receiving.
Yeah, they're not going to save her.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to like do anything about it. They're just punishing her more
Yeah.
and giving her less options and more
Exactly.
despair.
And ultimately,
Wait, Killy's dying. Give him a carry the body out. It's good for people to see death.
Chillum.
Chill him. He needs his fix. He's withdrawing.
Ultimately, that's the last we see of Manju.
That's sad.
And
That's
she
really
was not
sad.
talking at
Yeah.
all. So like
that's
from,
another
from
good
being a
point.
very talkative child, like when they met her at the orphanage, she did not say a single word.
That was heartbreaking.
And that's kind of like her innocence shattering, she
because she was like a very talkative person.
Yeah.
She played a lot. She was a kind of forceful personality and just drained of it all and not talking.
Mhm.
That was quite sad.
very sad.
Yeah, Nauner. Okay.
What a
Really?
bummer.
Going back to I was gonna say Chillum. He's dead. Going back to Chaipu. So he finds out that there's like he finds out from the kid that befriended him that there's like a specific part in the juvie center where he can make his escape, which is like going up to the roof and then jumping through the
Barbed
The
wire.
barbed wire. They even have to climb a ladder with
Which
full
is
barbed
crazy.
wire.
They shoot it. And again, this is all real. So there's like real children's steps, like tiptoeing on this barbed wire ladder.
Wait, no, Killy had a theory that it's probably just plastic or rubber, because no
Oh.
way those kids were
Yeah.
put in danger like that. Those
Oh,
The
for
ba-
the
the
shooting
barbed
part.
wire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Those
think
things
it has
Okay,
to
that
be. I
makes
don't
yeah,
know.
or else
Like
that would
it
be like
should
endangering
be.
a child.
Okay,
Yeah, it
Imagine Mira
should be.
Nair.
One wrong step.
But there's barbed wire. No, you must.
There's a tiny spot of wood right there. I can see it. Do it.
Two
use
shots.
Use your little. We don't have time for this bullshit. Use your little tiny children toes and step on this thing. Now jump from the building.
Yeah, I think it was fake.
Jump into the
wire.
truck.
Yeah, no, there was some really awesome shots. He like jumped to the fence and then he jumped down the truck.
It
Like,
is him doing it.
Yeah.
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 Pure Spider-Man mode.
He
Yeah.
finds out that there's a new Chillum in town,
It's a
and
new Chillum in town.
Yeah,
with the
that's-
same. No, I know, with the same brick bank.
yeah,
Yeah, it was super dark. So that means like that guy Chillum. So how Chaipu is not his real name. His real name was Krishna, and there was a later writing scene, we can refer to that later. So where he says that like no one calls him Krishna anymore, everyone calls him Chaipu. So they're all, these people are robbed of their name. They're
Mm-hmm.
known by their job. Chaipu, I think I'm pretty sure it's because he's a boy, tea selling boy, Chaipu. And then Chillum is also pushing drugs, and his name is Chillum. And so definitely the previous Chillum guy is also just it's just his role in that small society that we are looking at. And then he passed away, and then the new person who took up his role is also Chillum.
Yeah.
So he's also, and we get, it's the same, it's a very similar parallel to like what we see between Rekha and the Sweet 16. Like it's just like cycle of the same thing happening to say the different kind of different set of people again and again.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
And then he goes to and then Chaipu goes to the brothel, and then finds out that, as we've mentioned before, that Sweet 16 has been tamed, and that she is about to be sold out to her first client.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she's gonna lose her virginity to this guy,
Mm-hmm.
and she keeps the image of Baba under her pillow,
Yeah.
and she's like looking at Baba like outside the window of the car as she's
Yeah.
like driving away with this guy.
Yeah.
And she's
Yeah.
tamed because Chaipu kind of offers her a way out, right? He
Mhm.
offers to run away with her, and she doesn't budge this time. So you can also see kind of like that fire going out a little bit and becoming complacent.
Yeah. That's two downers now in one in under 5 minutes. And then the third downer I would say is that Rekha, being fed up with not being able to get her child back, decides, and knowing that Sweet 16 is into Baba, decides to leave Baba.
Yeah.
Right. And they get into this little fight where he's about to abuse her, physically abuse her, and then he threatens, he like taunts her into like killing him with a
Yeah.
knife. But then Rekha basically just throws the knife away, and before anything gets a lot worse, like at that very moment, Chaipu was just there.
Yeah.
I guess maybe to look for Manju,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, of course.
But he
yeah.
grabs the knife and manages to like stab Baba in the back.
Yeah.
And as he's on his dying breath, Chaipu manages to grab Rekha and they just run out of their home. And basically, like, we get to this scene where like they run into this parade that
Yeah.
was that's like a tribute to Ganesh.
Yeah, so Ganapati festival is like a pretty big in Bombay. So this was like the procession where they immerse the idol to the sea. So after like few days in the puja and all the festival going on, it's a procession where from the temporary spot where the idol is kept, they carry it to the sea to immerse the idol, and that's where the huge procession. This is like as crowded as you see, and this is a real footage again. It's not like with extras and everything.
Right.
So it's like a real footage of Ganapati festival. The filmmakers waited for that day to shoot those scenes. Yeah.
She had the time filming
Yeah.
production exactly right to be able to film that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, and through that parade, they both Rekha and Chaipu manage to lose each other in the crowd. They get separated, and ultimately, when Chaipu manages to break free from that crowd, we just get this like long ass shot. We just get this long shot of Chaipu just looking so defeated, so broken that that's it. Like,
Yeah, he just killed a man. He got separated from a mother figure again. He's just lost in a sea of people. And as the director said, this is the moment where he becomes a man. And he's letting go of his childhood that he was fighting so much to have and just accepting his new role as like adulthood, who's, has to be responsible for himself and sees the kind of scenario he's in and isn't like lying to himself anymore. He's like alone now.
See, so directors talk about also like he was holding to the top. That is like he carried from the first scene, like when he ran away from the first. Not ran away, like he came to the Bombay first. He had this top, so he's holding the top at the last scene. And the director, according to the director, they couldn't film that. Like she wanted him to play with the top and shoot the top as well as the final scene. They couldn't do it because they didn't have a limited. I mean, they didn't have enough film roll left for that shot. But
They didn't want to take the chance because, like,
okay.
if he fucked it up, they didn't have enough takes to do it again. So they were just like worried that he was gonna like ruin the take, so they just didn't have him spin the top.
But so here, like how film exists out of director's vision. I mean, when he did, so I was also like expecting him to spin the top, like when I was seeing him like just rounding the wear around the top and just looking at distance while his childhood is like leaving him. He just murdered a guy. I was expecting him to spin the top, but he didn't. I kind of read it like, because I didn't know like what happened behind the scenes, so I kind of read it like that's where that signifies the childhood leaving him. He's not playing with the only toy
Mm.
that he always carried with him, so he's not playing with that anymore. So he's like, it's like it became like an allegory of the whole thing from in my head, but that's
Yeah,
how the medium works anyway. Yeah, yeah.
much like the characters are completely influenced by their material conditions. Bingo. The movie is too. Like the director talked about possibly having a happy ending, or maybe he goes home or something, but because they had no money, they couldn't film that. They couldn't even go there. So like just like the characters were constrained by money, so are these people in this. And that's the ultimate lesson from all of this. And but then we get, again, it's all empathetic. I saw it, I loved it. I did not. It's depressing, but the film was so fantastic that I don't know. Like I didn't get sad. It was just so well done. I thought.
I mean, it was. I mean, it was sad, but I
Yeah.
also appreciate the story it's trying to tell. And, there was
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it. It's just like I don't think by like there was like I think there was a moment where we were checking how much time there is left, and there was like 20 minutes left, and we were like, "There is no way
Yeah.
this is gonna get any better. Like, it's not gonna be. We're not gonna get like a happy ending."
At least we got Baba
Killed.
dying.
So-
Yeah, but that was a semi positive.
I want to talk about Baba. I loved this character. Like he's not a good character, but the acting and and his character was so fascinating. I really liked it. Like I think he has like a presence, and I think the actor somehow shows in his eyes like everything he's seen and what he likes to do and what he doesn't like to do. Just like everyone's filling a role, everyone needs a fix it, right? And for him to just not be on the street as like another heroin addict, he kind of did what he had to do to be in as good a position as he ended up being in. I don't think he'd willingly do this in another scenario. I don't think he like gets off on like abusing people. It's just some I think some people have to do that to get higher up. But
Yeah.
You see some moments of empathy, especially when Sweet 16 is being driven away. You kind of see him look at her, and you get this moment where like it's clear that he has enough self awareness to know that what he's doing is wrong, and to
Yeah.
kind of recognize it. But also, that's just part of his job. That's just part of the identity that he has built in the streets to gain the respect and the privilege that he does have. And compared to a lot of people around him, that puts him in a better position. So yeah, he's just gonna keep doing what he has to do.
I think that's a good point. You can see the guilt.
You can.
Like he does what he has to do, but you can see that he feels guilty at times. And I like that the movie shows that.
But then
He's
you
not a bad
also
guy.
you can also see that he does not have much self-control, that he has this maybe a temper issue, an anger issue or something, where the moment he's triggered or his authority is put into question, that will come into play. And we see that with the scene where he's like really, throwing his balcony, raising his balcony, shit,
She's
okay,
really-
his daughter off the balcony railing. And then the moment when like Rekha's trying to leave as well, and you know for a fact that he's not gonna let that happen, that it's gonna get
yeah.
aggressive, and that's the moment that Chaipu comes in and stabs him. So it's a very nuanced character, but he's a well-renowned actor. He's a very famous actor in Bollywood. A bit controversial too. Maybe Kibi
Yeah.
wants to speak about this a bit.
Yeah, no, he got me too by
Mm.
one of the actor. She's like, they had like a kind of a item number dance, like like a sexy dance, and then he was asking her to do certain moves, and she was not comfortable. He was pressurizing her, and like there are other story. I am not going into detail,
It's
but
just
like
method acting to play bad guys.
yeah, so so he had that allegation from her, but he's too powerful, and then like I don't think many people came in support with her
Mm.
in her. So
Oh,
like he
whatever. I
kinda,
mean, but regardless of like that, I mean,
yeah,
that sucks that that's the case. But as an actor, I thought he was just phenomenal.
yeah,
I
he's a
think
good actor.
all of them were like Krishna as well, like the kid Chaipu. I feel like for someone who doesn't come from an acting background or anything like that, and maybe it's because he's also playing some of his lived experiences, so it's more performative acting, like you guys pointed out. But that final scene when he just breaks down crying, like there's
Yeah.
so much power in that, in the sense that you see his emotions evolve throughout the film as well, from survival mode to a child to adult. And
This is the first time he cries, right?
that's the first time. And throughout the film, like, he's very emotionally put together, right? He's a street kid. He's learned how to survive. He knows like how to navigate people, and like there is a level of tolerance that he has probably built. But that end scene, I think, is so powerful, just because you kind of see all of that facade come crashing down, and behind it is just a innocent little kid who never got to experience childhood.
Should we talk about the letter writing?
Yeah.
What letter writing?
When he
The-
wants to send the letter to his mom.
Oh, that's the scene with Irfan Khan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Irfan Khan was brought into the project. He was working with the kids in the acting workshop, and he was supposed to be in the film, but his role was dropped because he was supposed to be one of the street kid who grew up and was living around there. But
Irfan was a street kid?
no,
No,
his
he was gonna play a
his
street kid.
character
Okay.
would have been like a street kid who grew up, and then, but the director said that he was like almost 6 feet tall, and these people were all like stunted development. I mean, a street kid with the malnutrition they grew up in, they cannot reach the height of 6 feet. So his role was kind of cancelled, and at that point he was not a on-screen actor. This was his first on-screen appearance, but like we know later on like what a huge amazing actor he turns out to be in Bollywood, and even he went on in Hollywood, worked in Life of Pi and stuff like that. So he did that. That was the scene, and then and he's writing later.
Yeah. I mean, basically, Krishna goes to this guy. He wants to send a letter home. He's never talked to home since he's left. He just wants to say, like, hey, I'm alive and I'm going to come back with the money soon. I left the circus. A couple things that are just, the scene was super profound for me, because a couple things was like, number one, just the system of like how to communicate back home.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Like, the kid can't read, he can't write. So yeah, you have to pay someone to like transcribe your message. And then they ask for his address, and he has no idea. He has no idea like where his city is, like, or what the number of his address is. And so they kind of just junk the letter, because they're like, there's no point. It's not going to go anywhere. And then the real heart wrenching thing was he wanted to add a line that said like, I love you and I still miss you.
Yeah.
But it was going to cost like half a cent more.
Yeah.
And he couldn't afford it. It's again like just constantly running into material conditions where he can't even like communicate, because he just doesn't have the money, and there is just no way to get it, and just how constrained you are. And then it's just so like sad, because the letter gets tossed, it goes nowhere, and you just see like the hopelessness of the situation, and it's very like it was very profound for me.
Yeah, that scene was like really like when he's like almost on the verge of tears. I still miss you, mom, when I go back to sleep. And then this guy is like, like you have to pay extra for that line. And then he's like, okay, no, let it go.
Yeah,
I was like,
so
oh,
sad.
that was very sad scene.
This movie is kind of compared a lot to Slumdog Millionaire, which I think is a good comparison, because it is the direct opposite, right? It was like a film for Western audiences. It's kind of about the slums. There is a happy ending. They give you all that. And that is way more poverty porn than this movie is. And I think way more, it takes way more advantage of that situation for its own, movie telling point. And I think, if you have any complaints about this movie, you kind of look at Slumdog Millionaire as its opposite. And I'd much prefer this type of film than Slumdog.
Yeah, for sure.
When we were watching the interview that Killy showed us, and I'll link to it actually in the description. She says in the crowd, she says the actor that played Krishna was 15 years old, the same age as her son, watching the interview. So Zohan Mamdani was in the crowd in that interview at 15. And I think that is a nice little tie into like, why do you make these movies? Is because, well, what do you do with that information after the fact? And if she's able to produce people, like her son or other people that then want to go and make material changes to those realities because they feel sympathy or empathy for those in that situation, that is great. That is the point. That's what she wanted to do. And she did it with her own son. I think that's really cool. Like, she sees how bad these conditions can be, and so did her son. And he's doing something about it. And I think that's quite cool that type of political action can come from that art, like literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I loved it. I don't know. I highly recommend it. I thought it was just fantastic. I don't think it's too much of a bummer, but definitely, prepare yourself.
Yeah. I don't
It's
think
a
we can
heavy
use.
film. We were very well. We were going to watch the film. We were very lighthearted and we were having fun and and then talking about light things and so suddenly and then it went in and I didn't know how grave the film was and then we're taken aback by the seriousness
What
of the
keeps you off?
situation.
The instant he gets hit by the circus manager in the
Yeah.
first 1 minute of the film.
Yeah.
It's told to go get beans or something. It starts
The
off
pan
pretty
masala,
grim.
the drugs. They're not drugs, yeah.
I don't think we
tobacco.
can really use our scale for this movie. It does not really follow any of the Bollywood
Yeah.
norms that we've become accustomed to. No dance numbers or anything
There
of
is
that
dance
sort.
number,
Well,
okay.
informally around the children having fun. Yeah.
Regional heat check, 1 hundo. I thought the movie was pretty real.
Family Feud.
Yeah,
of course.
plenty.
Yeah,
Mom
plenty.
throughout.
I highly recommend.
Mhm.
And thank you, Killy, actually, for turning us on to this film. This was great.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'll see you guys later physically.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
See ya.